What's up, Internet? It's Brandon. We're back with episode 4 of Free2Play Weekly. This week I tried to crank the volume up a little bit. I know the last upload had some audio issues, so hopefully this is loud enough and everyone's able to hear, what I'm saying. That having been said, I appreciate the feedback. I've been a little overwhelmed with how much this channel's kind of taken off. There's been a lot of positive comments, and I appreciate that. And yeah, we've got 19 games this week that we're going to go through. So let's dive in. For my recommended game this week, I went with Rake Remastered. Rake Remastered is a hunting game where you're hunting down a monster in the woods, and you have a number of tools at your disposal for both tracking the monster as well as dealing damage to it. There were cameras, there were drones, there's fireworks that you can place that if the monster gets too close, it launches fireworks. And all of that stuff worked really well. You can look at the map and look in your cameras and see if there's anything, on those cameras. You also get a notification if a camera's triggered. The drone is pretty well done. I enjoyed flying around with the drone trying to find the rake as he trundled about through the forest looking to maul me or whatever he did. There's a day-night cycle that moves relatively slowly, and you can find new things in some buildings after each night. So like someone places new items and things that you might need. I played for about 30 minutes and didn't get all the way through a day-night cycle, so it is kind of a slow churn through the day into the night. But I do think that it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed trying to track it down, and then when it attacks me, because if it gets too close to you it'll attack, trying to follow it and see where it goes, or try to track it down with my binoculars. I do wish I could have found a sniper rifle. I feel like that would have made a big difference to being able to be a little less down in the thick of it with my shotgun, getting punched in the face every so often whenever I ran into the rake. So that's something that I look forward to when I go back. It has a bonkers amount of health. I mean, I think it had over 4,000, so it takes a while to burn through his health. So it's a long battle with this rake. It's not something where you find it, shoot it, and you're done. You have to really grind it out, and it'll run away, and you'll have to run away and find health, etc. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. I do plan on finishing a single playthrough at least. I do want to know what the leveling is, because I feel like right now I'm limited to 5 cameras, and I feel like that's not a lot compared to how many I have and I'm able to place. And so I wonder if leveling up will give me access to more cameras or abilities that might make it easier to track him down or heal after I get attacked, or if I can run faster, I can maybe chase him. So I'm looking forward to kind of what the level up options provide. And so yeah, Rake's a pretty cool game. It's pretty nice for a free-to-play game to be able to kind of jump into, and I recommend it. In Victory of Succor, the goal is to decorate your room. You can buy new items and new decorations using money you get from playing the gameplay. And the gameplay can be done against bots. That's what I did for my game because there weren't any active lobbies. It took me a little bit to figure out what was going on in the game. When you're in there, it's not terribly clear how it works, but you can kill things by clicking on them, and that'll start an auto attack. You can pick a different character. There's a few different characters you can start with. Some of the art in this game is a little juvenile for my taste, but the gameplay itself wasn't bad. The squares that you have near your base, you're able to build buildings on. Those buildings will generate money over time. You can also use those buildings to upgrade your character by spending money. So say you have 500 gold, you can go to your gym to increase your strength, or you can go to another place to increase how much money it outputs. And there's a couple different stats that you can increase by going to these buildings that you can build around your base. You can also walk up to the building to collect the money, so it has a number of dollars that it's generating over time, and you're able to walk up to it and basically cash that out onto your character. And then you can take all the money on your character and put it into your base, and that is how you win. So the scoreboard is how much money each player has in their base at the end of the game. I did not make it to the point where I was able to attack my opponent in any effective manner. I did get a kill, supposedly, if you look at the scoreboard at the end, which I went over and attacked, but I don't know the difference between me knocking him out and me being knocked out, because I got knocked out too, but it didn't say that he had a kill, so I don't know if that's because his base killed me or what. But so I didn't really dive into the attacking each other part, but I was able to at least get the how to win and how to manage your base and that side of things figured out. The decorations are fine. Overall, it was a decent game for what it is. It wasn't something I will come back to, but it's not also something that I hated playing. So overall, it was a decent little addition to the free-to-play section of Steam. Hide Time is a Five Nights at Freddy's style game where you are at a entertainment location and you are working there overnight and you're being asked to perform tasks to prepare the location for their grand opening, the next week. And things slowly start to take a turn and it gets a little dark and you're like, wait, what's happening? I keep hearing things. There's a lot of notes and stuff that you find that are like, hey, this place is kind of weird, right? I thought the tasks were a lot of fun. I'm not very good at these types of games or play them a lot. So like horror games and jump scares and stuff isn't really my jam. I'll show a clip of me just freaking the hell out when uh, something jump scares me at one point. It was just like a loud bang sound, and you can see my crosshair go all over the place. It was good. I liked the tasks. Plunging toilets was probably my favorite. Just a little Osu style clicking game where you have to hit the bubbles as they pop up. Like that was pretty fun. You had to count a bunch of stuff in one section. I feel like the graphics in this game were good. I feel like the voiceovers were good. So yeah, it was a fun game. It was definitely in the running for my recommended game this week because I did enjoy it a lot. I think at the end of the week, Rake kind of just grabbed me a little more. But this was a really good entry for this week as well, especially for people who enjoy this genre of game. It's worth giving a shot. 2024 Aliens Are Coming is a demo or early release of a game that's being developed right now. There's a lot of different play sections, so each section of the game plays in a different way, which I think is a lot of fun. I liked the variety of the different play styles. I feel like the movement could have been a little faster in one section, but that's fine. And then I do also think that there needs to be some audio controls because I mean, yeah, I know that my mic was, kind of quiet, and it's because my headphones are so loud. So when I play a game like this and it's just blaring into my headphones, I just have to take them off to be able to play. But yeah, it was a lot of fun playing the different styles. You've got your racing section, you've got your sneak section. And so it's, a couple of the different play styles they're kind of building on. I think it'll be an interesting game when it's complete with audio settings. Just just putting that back out there. If the devs tuning in, just get those audio settings in. It goes a long way. But yeah, I do think that this game has some promise, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with what they've started. Fortune Cookie is a game where you earn fortune cookies, and you can utilize them to unlock boxes, and the boxes have different cookie types in them. So there's a daily cookie where you can only open one per day. There is a food cookie which shows you a different meal and unlocks it in a gallery. There's like a location cookie which shows you different locations, and then there's those are the three you can unlock. There's game dev ones, which give kind of a dev diary from the developer on how they made the game, other games they make, etc. There's also an infinite click section where you can just read fortunes all day if that's what you're into. And then there's a section that's called Dough Adventure, where you are a dumpling who is fighting its way through other dumplings. I found this to be obviously the most fun portion because it's more interactive. You can level up after each fight by either adding attack or adding defense. And then you get a special skill available also to select at the end of each fight. It's random what your Doe does. So you're just kind of clicking through, hoping to eventually win by having enough attacks versus your opponent not defending if they have defense. They get harder as you go, and you get more fortune cookies as you progress. But every time you attack or take a turn, it does cost a fortune cookie, so you have to make sure you have cookies available to be able to do Doe Adventure. But it is a lot of fun, just kind of spam clicking through and trying to get as far as you can. And then I also thought that mostly the food collection, they just all look tasty. I'm a big Asian food guy, but every time I unboxed one, I was like, yeah, I'll take one of those. And so yeah, this was a nice little clicker game. Nothing crazy, but a lot of fun and a lot of content to be had. If you have Magic 8 Ball, you can get rid of it. Come in here, check out your fortune. Lost Age is a mobile gacha game that has been ported over to Steam. It's pretty good quality. I found the gameplay to be pretty smooth. There was a lot of menus, which can be confusing when you're playing these types of games to know where to go and what to do. There's the standard progression through all of the levels that they created. There's also a tower defense section. There's like an auto battle that kind of runs when you're doing other stuff. There's a pet system that you integrate with that I haven't hatched yet, but I made some progress toward it. I think I got it to like level 4 or 5. I think it doesn't hatch till 10 though, so it's going to be a little bit on that one. It seemed pretty easy to acquire the things needed to level up your characters, and the tickets required to summon new characters didn't seem like they were super difficult to achieve. So there's definitely, from a free-to-play perspective, you can get a decent amount out of the game without having to pay for anything. I played it, like I said, for probably an hour and a half and didn't have any time where I was like, man, I really need to pay for this or I can't progress any further, right? So I was walking through things pretty quickly. I think the PvP section maybe would be a little different. There might be, if you go in there, you go against people who have those characters that you can buy that are overpowered and destroy everyone, and whenever you face them, you lose. But from a just core gameplay perspective, I was able to kind of churn through levels no problem and continue progressing my pet, which was kind of my focus, was what do I need to do to increase my pet's level as I was trying to play. So overall, it's not a bad game. If you like this style of game, it's definitely worth giving a try. It's not too difficult to pick up and run with. There's a lot of tutorials, so they walk you through kind of what to do and where to click and how to get the things you need to get. And so that's convenient. And so yeah, Lost Age turns out to be a pretty decent gacha game and is worth checking out. Skystead Christmas is a great hidden object game that became available this week. The concept behind it is you have to collect snow to be able to throw snowballs. You do this by just mousing over snow that's falling. If you click, then it's going to throw a snowball, so don't click to collect the snow, just mouse over it and it'll collect it. You can use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and click and hold if you want to kind of move around the map. There's a lot of things you can interact with by throwing snowballs, so don't hesitate to chuck some snowballs out there. There's trees you can remove, there's bushes you can break open. There's a number of things to be found, including like 10 fires that you can light, 10 lights to light up, and then a number of creatures and critters that are kind of scattered throughout. If you hover the character in the bottom, it'll give you a hint as to where they are. I didn't really notice that until I was down to like the last 4. But yeah, it was, the game took about 15 minutes to get through, but there was a number of cool interactions to find different things, and it was, a nice little relaxing search and find hidden object game to play through. So I thought this game was a lot of fun. It was nice and relaxing. It's the type of game I could feel like I could sit down with my son and play, and he could try to find them and stuff. It's something he would enjoy. So I recommend this game, especially if you have kids who might want to, find all the little different critters around the map. An Outland Village is a story-based game where you walk around and can inspect items in your home, and it'll give you backstory or details about each item you interact with. There's also some kind of search and find elements where the first thing I did, they were like, hey, we need mint so that we can make dinner. And so you had to go find all the mint leaves around the house. And so there's a little bit of kind of interacting with the intent of finding the mint. And like I said, it's heavy story in this game. So it felt at times to be more of like a visual novel where you're kind of playing through the story and less like a game where you're um, doing things that affect the outcome. But it was, a nice little game. I like the art style, and I like that pretty much everything you see you can interact with and get some sort of description, which I think, the amount of work it takes to put in to have that level of interaction is, something to be commended. So if you like story-based games and want to play through an experience, I feel like this game might be the game for you. Fate of the Three Kingdoms is a card game, and look, I love card games. This is a good, feudal Japan card game where you attempt to exhaust your opponent's soldiers, which is like their health, before you run out of your own. This game had interesting card interactions, and each keyword was explained, which was good, made it a little easier to play. I played 4 or 5 games, and it always felt like I had a good path to orchestrate a win each time. The hero power I feel like was pretty key in this game. The deck that I chose had a hero power that dealt 1 damage, which allowed me to kind of clean up parts of the board to make it easier for my minions to kind of progress their way through battle, especially when something has like defend, which forces you to attack it. And yeah, it was a fun card game. I don't know. Yeah, there's a ranked mode, I believe, so you can kind of work your way toward leveling up. So I played, I think, 1 or 2 ranked games, and I think it was 1-1 because I had to take a phone call during one, and so I ended up losing that one. But yeah, it's a fun game. If you like card games, I think that there's a lot of replayability with different decks and trying out different things when you play this game. So trying out all the different clans and their available cards, I think, would be interesting. And then you unlock new booster packs that you can open to get new cards. And a couple of the cards I got were actually pretty good. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll play it again or not, but I'll leave it installed for a little bit so I can think about it. QuickSwitch is a top-down shooter. I was able to do the practice mode for this game, which puts you against a bunch of monsters that spawn, and you have to try to live for as long as you can, which I thought was pretty decent for practicing and getting used to kind of the flow of the game. You can pick different weapons to try out, etc. I feel like anything other than the rifle, you're setting yourself up for failure, but that's just my personal opinion. I feel like this is a game that has a lot of potential. I don't know how difficult it is doing combat against another person in a top-down shooter. I've never played like a multiplayer top-down shooter before. I did line up a friend of mine to be able to play games with me they when they're multiplayer, and I can't find any servers, but he wasn't available this week, so we'll have that going forward and we'll plan that out better. But this is a game that I'll have to come back to probably to see how the multiplayer works, but from just a gameplay perspective in the practice mode, I improved over time and got used to kind of the movement and the style of the weapons, and so I think there's potential there for the game to be, pretty fun, especially in like a multiplayer arena where you're just spraying bullets around and chucking grenades while trying to dodge everything, almost creating like a bullet hell style game uh, in the multiplayer arenas. So that's something that I'll try out in the future, and maybe I'll create a video for like some of these games that I'm going to revisit in the future just to give a second opinion after getting a little more time with them. Shelter from the Storm is a point-and-click adventure game where you're working your way through a giant mansion and trying to unlock rooms and solve puzzles. This game was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the writing for this game. I thought there was a lot of witty retorts and kind of some, tongue-in-cheek style comments made by the main character as you walked around and looked at things. I also felt like there was some cool interactions with the rooms, like the endless hallway, and there's a couple other rooms where you walk in and there's like a piano that you can kind of play a little bit, but not well, as the main character calls out. This is a game that I didn't have I didn't make a lot of progress in the time that I played it, but I really enjoyed the amount that I played and what I was able to accomplish. And this is a game that I definitely will keep installed to come back to, and I would like to work my way through and complete because I feel like there's a lot here to do and to enjoy. So it's a game I recommend. It's a point-and-click adventure-style mystery game, and solve the puzzles, work your way through type thing, and it's worth checking out in my opinion. 16 Undead is a fun little driving game where you drive around, drinking your beer, smoking your cigarettes, running from the cops. The main gameplay loop is dodging cars that inexplicably drive in front of you and trying to steer your way through this course. I played with mouse and keyboard, which was a mistake, I'm assuming, because trying to steer with WSAD was brutal. And I've played a lot of racing games or played games that have cars. I played a lot of Saints Row. I've played Rocket League with mouse and keyboard. So it's not that I never play games where I'm driving with mouse and keyboard, but the sensitivity of the turning in this game for mouse and keyboard was so high that it was very, very difficult. But the game itself, it's a fun ambiance. Just run from the cops, jump in, see how far you can go. When you drink a beer, you speed up. When you smoke a cigarette, everything around you slows down, gives you a little more time to react. And then if you hit space, it does like a super boost, which is your way to kind of get out if you're kind of stuck or in trouble. My first run was actually my best. I fell apart after that, just running into stuff and crashing into things. I felt like every run kept getting worse. So my first one went pretty well, and everyone after that was a complete and utter dumpster fire. But the game itself was fun. It was enjoyable to try to run away from the cops, something I do all the time, of course. And then, trying to not run into cars while a beer is covering up 80% of your windshield while you're actively boosting was something that was pretty fun as well. So if you want like a little short driving game to play, a little something fun to experience, this is definitely a game worth checking out. Gates of Olympus is a match 3 swap game where you work your way through levels trying to acquire a certain number of each symbol to accomplish the goal for that level. It felt like a mobile port mostly because of the game view being kind of that column in the center of the screen. The one complaint I had about this game is that rings and crowns were pretty similar looking, and I had a hard time differentiating them, and it made it feel slow to play because I took more time kind of evaluating those two symbols of, hey, can I swap these? No. Can I swap these? No. But yeah, I mean, for a swap 3, it was fine. There wasn't any additional mechanics or things to drive gameplay, but it's a free game that's a match 3. If that's a gameplay style you enjoy, this might be a game for you. For me personally, it just wasn't my style. Something I enjoyed. I like some match 3s, but usually I need a secondary mechanic tied into that, like attacks that are generated when you match or things like that. So, from just a strictly match 3 to complete so many of a symbol, the gameplay works. It's a functional game. I just don't know if it was really for me. Recoil is a platforming game where you utilize your weapon to launch you further into the air. This is a game that I had a hard time with. It was pretty difficult trying to time your jumps, and also they had a little bit of a mechanic of like if you're not moving forward when you jump, then you're just jumping straight up in the air, so you have to be moving and then jump. And then if you run into like a wall, it stops your forward progress, which in the confines of physics makes sense, but in the confines of a platformer can be very frustrating if you are jumping up onto something and just clip it right before you would have landed on it, and then you just fall straight down as instead of or you fly straight up right next to the thing you could have landed on. This game does have a mechanic for recovering from that, but it took me a while to figure it out, where if you jump into something and it pushes you up in the air above it, but stops your progress of moving in the direction you're shooting or trying to go, if you shoot backwards, it'll push you that extra distance to get you up on top. This one, just like the next game, I mean, difficult platformers always have an element of that endorphin release of achieving a difficult section. So, when you complete an area that's difficult on this game, it is satisfying and feels like, oh, I did something right. There was another section in this game though where I ran into some aliens and I have no idea what I was supposed to do there. I just kept dying, and so I ended up running away and going a different direction through the map. So there's some flexibility to the map where you kind of find your way to the areas that make sense. And so yeah, it was a pretty good game. I enjoyed it as a platformer and as a challenge, right, to do. So if you like platformers and you like difficult games, this game may be worth checking out. Elemental Surge is another difficult platformer that was released this week. This one you have to cycle different elements to perform different aerial maneuvers, which was very difficult. So like the earth element let you jump from wall to wall. The fire element let you double jump. The lightning one gave you kind of a dash, and so there were times where you would have to double jump and then switch to earth so that you can jump on the walls, and then switch to lightning so you could dash across the gap. Again, these kind of games with this high difficulty kind of skill based platforming gives you a little bit of satisfaction when you're able to accomplish something. So there were definitely a few moments of like, yeah, I did it. But there was also a few moments of, I'm never going to be able to do this. Why am I even trying? So it's a difficult game. But if you're someone who likes a challenge, it's a game worth checking out. I really thought the concept behind it was a lot of fun, and the way in which they make each jump challenging, right? Of being able to cycle between your different abilities to get to the areas that you're trying to get to, I thought was really cool. Abyssal Shade is a card-based roguelite, but there is a little bit of elements of walking around the map and interacting with things. I will say for the intro, I did get kind of confused on what I was supposed to do. So if you get stuck, just go to sleep. That'll help you progress through to the actual gameplay. Once you go to sleep, you can go down the elevator and start the game. There was some fun elements to the moving around portion where you could solve some puzzles, and if you do that, you get an advantage going into the actual dungeon run. And then on the dungeon runs themselves, you can select from 3 options for each stage. So you'll have things like get 3 random cards, or battle something and gain a card, or you can do an advanced battle and then you can pick one of 3 cards that are presented. And then there's another one that lets you destroy cards. The one downside I thought with this game was the destroy card mechanic. Picks a card at random. I feel like that was at times not useful. It would give me a card that I know I want in my deck, and then I would have to keep the cards in my deck that sucked. So I'd like a little bit of flexibility there from the card elimination perspective. But the game itself was fun. You place your shades, is what they call them, on one of 4 battle spaces. The battle spaces attack across from where they are, and so if your opponent has things in the spaces across from where you place your shades will deal damage to those. If there's nothing across from them, then they'll deal damage to the boss that you're fighting. I was able to complete the first section on my second playthrough because I was able to unlock that health bonus from doing the second room. And so yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the mechanics and setting up the shades and how some of the cards work together. So there's one that like you can give things fear, and then there's another card where all feared things get +1/+1. There's also something where you can gain health if you remove emotion, so you can like fear something and then immediately cleanse it to give it +3 health, which is a good way to heal something that has high attack already. There wasn't a lot of description for what fear means, or any of the different emotions that you can have happen. So there was a little bit of, well, we'll see what happens when I do this. But overall, the game was fun. It's a well-made game, and I really enjoyed, after I figured out kind of the puzzling aspect of walking around, I enjoyed the combination of walking around the overworld and then diving into a dungeon and vice versa. So it's an enjoyable game, and I recommend trying it out, especially if you like, Slay the Spire, or if you played, Balantica from one of my earlier reviews, those style of games. FoxRun is a small runner game that was created in 24 hours across 5 days by someone, and they just uploaded it for free for people to try out and enjoy. Overall, I like the art. style. I thought that the movement left to right was, pretty smooth. Jumping was fine. You do have the ability to double jump early on. I was like, I can't reach any of these things. They're all way too high above my head, and that was because I wasn't double jumping. You can kind of boost forward, but I don't know like why you can't do it all the time. So if you hit W, you'll move forward, kind of quickly for like a split second. I mean, it's short, and then you start moving normal pace, I'll call it again. And I just felt like normal pace was just too slow. It felt like it dragged on a little bit trying to get moving. But if the either A, it was sped up a little bit, or B, holding down W made you move forward faster, I think it might affect the difficulty, which might be why the devs left that out, because it would be a lot easier to just blow past the birds while you're working your way across the map. But I feel like from just end gameplay perspective, it would have been just more fun if you could feel like you're affecting things by moving faster. If you hit S, you'll duck. Ducking helped sometimes, I think. And then if you find a health pack, you can pick those up as well, in addition to coins. And then your score is just how many coins you collect. So this is, a pretty short game to try out. Unless you're good, I guess, then it could be a really long game. But it was, decent little free game that someone uploaded after kind of working on it over the course of a week. So for being done in a week, it's, pretty impressive in my opinion. TeeDee is a tower defense game. See where the TeeDee came from. And I thought it was pretty difficult. So I played the first level a lot. I played it probably 12 times trying to figure out how to place the turrets so that I didn't just get massively destroyed after the first level. And I found a build that worked, but it took a while. The first couple things I tried didn't work at all. I feel like there could have been a little bit more scaling up of difficulty, where it starts off with just a few things that you have to defend against because you don't have the money to build up, strong defenses. And then kind of progressing to be what that last section is, which is just complete insanity for the number of turrets I was able to build. I don't know if anyone's beaten this, but my God, good props to you, because it was tough. I feel like I wasn't placing things in bad locations or anything, but it was just everything was getting through. So it's an for a tower defense game that's free, it was effective. I don't know if I would play this over some of the other things that are out there, but it's not unenjoyable, but it was difficult. So there's a little bit of skill required to be successful in this tower defense game. Trees and Jellyfish isn't actually tagged as a visual novel, but after playing it for a few minutes, it definitely felt like a visual novel. It's described as, after a questionable decision, Coral gains the ability to talk to jellyfish. Isn't it just so convenient that there's 7 of them in her class? I don't know if it is or not. So that's that one. And then there was another game this week that said it was released for free to play, but when I went to download it to play it, it wasn't actually available. And so that one was called, let me pull it up real quick, Animal Jam. It doesn't have a way to download it. It doesn't have a way to install it. It's described as an animal jam. You can become your favorite animal, collecting amazing items, adopt adorable pets, and create a style to express the real you. 2017 Google Play Awards winner, so it's been around for a while. It's listed as free to play now, but you can't download it, and I'm probably not going to know when it switches to be able to actually be downloaded because it won't be in recently released. So I just want to call it out now in this video so that it didn't get missed completely in case it ever does come out in the future. So there you have it. That's episode 4 of Free to Play Weekly. I can't believe we've already been doing this for a month. It's been, quite the journey. I've been enjoying it. Hopefully you have too. Like I said in the beginning, I've been pretty overwhelmed with the support the channel's gotten, and the people are excited about the content that I'm producing. So hope that you'll stick around, and we'll have another episode next week where we continue to take a look at everything that's being released on Steam. That's free.